And the river still shines and shimmers in the light as it did in our grandfather's day, when they rode all night to fish in the morning and lived in Willapa Bay.
Okay, wow, that was pretty impressive. Our next performer grew up in Anacortes in a fishing family, spent every summer fishing in Puget Sound and in Alaska, and he's been writing poetry since he was a teenager. So please give a great welcome to Gary Keister.
Greetings, and thank you so much for being here. I know the performers perform so much better when they have a lively crowd like this, and we all really appreciate it. In my 80-plus years, I've seen this industry take a lot of twists and turns. And over the years, I journaled as I was on these boats, and so I've portrayed a lot of the stories that I know from these years of fishing and through poetry. So I will read a few of my works. The first one's called The Laundry, and it's about a highline Native American fisherman out of Hoona, Alaska, who would put his nets in the most turbulent of waters and always seemed to catch fish and never lost his gear. It's called The Laundry. Wise Joe White stands wide atop the fog-enshrouded bridge, his purse seiner adrift, awaiting the flood tide in Middle Pass. Currents and eddies are fierce in the Laundry, and setting too early, the turbulence and hurly-burlies will drag his precious net underwater, wrapping and wringing it up like a dish rag. Joe studies the white water as it swirls and churns, hemorrhaging energy as dense cream foam clings to the barnacle-laden rocks. When abruptly the foam moves seaward, he grabs the wheel, signals crew, and spins the Jericho about at full throttle, waving a deckman to yank the Canadian release, discharging the 250-fathom seine into the torrent waters as each crewman prepares for grueling high-speed work, eager to make another set on this perfect tide, expecting to plug their hold with humpies and silver-bright dog salmon. Lost. The skip slid silently through Grenville Channel, the constant purr of the yellow cat thrusting against invisible currents. From his port side perch, window wide, he breathed in the sea and witnessed a phosphorus light show while she plowed across a frenzied, fiery glow. He revered the ocean, as did his ancestors, and each spring anxiously awaited the trip north to the rich fishing grounds surrounding Kodiak Island. Standing in the cramped pilot house, he stretched and placed his ubiquitous coffee mug on the compass shelf, murmuring something about going astern to pee. And now, decades later, Only the shadowy Black Sea owns the mystery of back aft on that calm spring night in Grenville Channel. Lupine. Leaving the Aleutians flying high, not a cloud in the cobalt sky, soaring and drifting like an eagle, feeling strangely very regal. Above the mountains, thick with ice, far below, a sand-drenched crevice, flushed with lupine in grand array, swarms of lusty lupine in early May, their tapering spikes of blue and white, pointing at heaven like guns of fright. And when dreaming today, I remember still that bolt from the blue in nature's thrill. Salmon seiner. Flood tide pulling strong and hard, nets heavy. Early gold sun shadows glisten as scraggly sick as cypress crew up before dawn, defying bone-chilling glacier winds blowing through layers of wool and rubber. The icy Black Sea reveals no trace of life as crewmen pull ferociously on strained hemp lines, the boat heaving and groaning. The crew tugs at the web as it rolls over the steely, pyretic power block, swinging precariously from atop the boom. A tall, lanky kid balances gracefully on the edge of the turntable, meticulously stacking Spanish corks in perfect, symmetrical rows. Out 50 fathoms, a sockeye jumps along the cork line as others fin in the center of the seine. The pace quickens and emotions build. A silvery salmon emerges gilded a mesh, and another, and another. The tension mounts. At the end of the seine is dragged aboard. All hands rush to the bulwarks. There are thousands, a silver horde of the finest blood-red sockeye. This is called shipwreck. They did not escape blind Horn's hate. Crew despondent and forlorn, despair unbridled. She heads towards the storm's maelstrom. Each tempest exceeds the other. With mounting force, born to destroy their voyage, hammered by winds and the vastest swell ever seen. On the stern, a looming sea, off the bow, a terrifying mountain of water. Her hull pitches, listing over, receiving the sea fore and aft from gunwale to gunwale. As each approaching wave strikes with awful violence, laying her on her side before righting. The waves pounding her as she forges forward, unwittingly upon a succession of reefs, shattering her rudder as another gigantic wave sweeps the ship as she lurches ahead thrashing. The sea pours into her hold, water up to the hatches, the deafening waves slaughtering all in sight, enveloping her as she hurtles into a cluster of jagged rocks, ripping her apart, Masts falling, dragging her over, windows explode, planks splitter, decks cave, water gushes, filling each cranny. A congress of waves repeat their attack, while nauseating sounds of the hull grind against the rocks. Wrecked. My last one is called The Ebb. He visited the rock on the stormy, stony shoreline as long as he could remember. It never appeared to change, yet it did, little by little, at each ebb and flood, as harsh seas whittled out the perfect pew for a boy and a granddad. Now he gazes solo, regarding the curling white water, whispering beneath his black hip boots, recalling how the sea had fashioned him, sailing with the old man from Puget Sound to the Gulf and out west to the unrelenting Bering Sea. Now the water flows deliberately away as life ebbs, one particle at a time, evoking life's marvels and the significance of the coarse-grained granite, hosting the tiniest bits of life that encrusts body and soul. Thank you.
White Maine spruce, grain so even, you can almost hear the music now. Sidewood bent in the water steaming, and the easy slide of a dovetail saw. I learned these skills, but no one taught me. I make guitars that others play. Too much rain and darn long winters, but I love the work of a luthier's trade.
Okay, thank you so much for talking with us today about the FisherPoets Gathering. We really appreciate your stopping. Can I ask your names and where you're from?
Christine
And Phil.
from Portland.
Yeah.
And is this your first time at the Poets Gathering?
No,
Third.
it's our third time. Third time
Yeah.
at the Poets.
Okay.
Before COVID and this one.
So if you're here 3 times, you really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's motivated you to come back. What is it you've super enjoyed about it?
Oh, the variety.
The variety. Yeah. There's some of the artists you want to hear longer, and yet 15 minutes, and then you're on to kind of somebody else, and the songs and the poetry and the prose, and some of it's very heartwarming, and some of it's just funny.
Yeah, exactly that.
Okay, I know we only had performances last night that you probably went to. We haven't seen tonight's yet, but for what you've seen so far this year, what was your favorite?
Oh, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, it's such a variety.
It's the immersive experience, and there's such heart from each of those that are presenting, and it's such an honor and privilege to be in the audience. So we're loving all of it.
Oh my gosh, you were the perfect people to interview. So you said that so beautifully. So tips for anybody coming in, or anything you want to tell them to lure them in?
You can't go wrong with any of the venues. Just pick one, and I don't know.
And you can always get up and walk at any time, and it's so welcoming here in Astoria, and it's a perfect spot. And it's small. It feels like intimate encounter, being able to hear these such personal stories, and then you get to mill around and see faces that look familiar and new faces, and you just come Just come. You're going to love it.
You know what? It's been my privilege to talk with the two of you. Thank you so much for your time.